I think it's now time to discuss what is my soap of the year, because despite some of the noise and some of the clickbait titles that I have been using, admittedly, I do love the three soaps that I watch. I watched EastEnders, Coronation Street, and Hollyoaks, and at different points in time, all of whom have been my favourite soap, and it does generally fluctuate with how the show's doing. I've levied a lot of criticism towards Coronation Street this year, but let's set the record straight. Up until 2022, or up until 2023-ish, Coronation Street was my favourite soap, and it had been for years. I started watching EastEnders in 2018. That makes 7 years as watching it, and I watched it a bit as a kid, and I've generally gone back and watched a lot of stuff back and forth. I initially liked the Sonia and Martin relationship, hence I'm a Martin stan. And I like the Stalker Sarah Cairns storyline. That storyline is a comfort storyline for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know why. But in 2020, soap shut down. Need a new soap. Time to watch Coronation Street. Time to watch Hollyoaks. And I generally start watching it at that time. I liked them all for different reasons. I liked Coronation Street more than EastEnders because it has that northern grit. It has the more down-to-earth, different region, different approach to life. Enjoyed a lot of the regulars, watched a lot of the gay storylines like Sophie and Sean, Sophie and Maddie, Kate and Rana, etc., etc. Sean don't really have any love interest, but, Todd, Billy. Yeah, that Todd. But watching a bunch of those storylines and slowly figuring out what I liked. And Hollyoaks for the same vein, where Hollyoaks is like other soaps on steroids. It's kind of crazy, it's kind of wild, it's kind of car crash, but still it's got a surprising amount of depth. It's just sometimes you have to really fish out the depth with a fucking massive rod, rather than just like slowly it seeps in. Sometimes you have to look between the leaves to find an even bigger tree. That's my take on it. And at different points in time, admittedly, I have loved all the soaps in different times. As said before, since I started watching Coronation Street and Hollyoaks, I pretty much toed in between Hollyoaks and Coronation Street as my favourite soap. It would kind of go intermittently. I love them both, but fundamentally I'd love Coronation Street the most, which is why I am on the record lamenting that Coronation Street in this recent era isn't as good as it has been in the past. Now, not in the way that most other people do it, because most people are like, it's not been good since the 80s. Fucking hell, why are you still watching then, man? Why are you still here, man? Fucking hell. Oh, it's not been as good since the 2000s. Like, yeah, but do you invest as much time as you did in the 2000s? And I've never wanted to be that gatekeeper type person where it's like, if you don't know, you don't know. But like, I do love the show. Like, I want the record to be set straight. I do genuinely believe that Coronation Street is in a better place it was when it started. Have the interviews put me off a little bit? Yes, because nobody wants to hear about one of your favorite soaps saying, we're going to really subvert expectations this year. It's like, well, this last era's proven you're not smart enough to do that. But, I guess we just have to trust in you. Like, you're saying all this outlandish shit, and we have no idea of what it's going to be like. So you're genuinely saying, hey, guys, there's a hole over it. Let's jump into the hole, guys. It's like, fuck. I mean, I guess it can't be any worse than the previous couple of years, but like, fuck. All right, then. You want me to jump with no real, like, rope or anything? Yeah, just trust me. But I don't trust you, all right? It's not been a good couple of years of the show. But still, I stopped watching it for a couple months in 2024, and I took a break from it, and suddenly I was rejuvenated. I was enjoying a lot of Coronation Street again. But also still, despite loving the show, I can still admit that it hasn't exactly been on good terms. Now, just to fully concrete it, let's talk about EastEnders as a whole. I'll go back to Coronation Street, but I don't want to just levy it to be a Coronation Street hate video like some people think I'm doing. I think EastEnders had fundamentally quite a strong year, but it is paling in comparison to 2023. I think this year in comparison to 2023 is kind of really rough. Like, there's been a lot of good stuff on EastEnders this year. There's been and like I said, I'll go do it for the other soaps when I get to it, but I want to just outline everything. Then at the end, I'll go through what my favourite soap of the year was. But, like, it dealt with a lot of things. It dealt with Yolande's sexual abuse by Pastor Clayton, a great storyline, fundamentally. It dealt with George Knight, kind of him dealing with realizing that his biological dad was killed by his racist adoptive father. Really good scenes. 2 episodes that stand tall and will stand the test of time as really good episodes. Because you have moments in those episodes where you're hanging on by every word. Because let's say the George Knight, Eddie Knight episode where they're talking about the death and how about the dad contributed to killing his biological dad. And there's a moment where Eddie, the racist, starts crying and George puts his hands on him. And he has a choice whether to allow himself to go beyond his racist beliefs, or he go beyond his racist beliefs and allow his son to comfort him, or be disgusted by him, and he's disgusted by him. And it's a really poignant, emotional scene. And 2024 with these, like, it's fantastic episodes, fantastic scenes as a whole. But the main issue, and this could be a bit of kind of cognitive dissonance considering we've just finished the year. I remember the start of the year. I remember the end of the year. I do not remember the middle of the year. I do not remember the middle of the year. Whitney stuff, it was okay. It was the aftermath of the 6. I don't really think the aftermath of the 6 was particularly good. Debbie, Reese, and Sonia. I really didn't like Debbie, Reese, and Sonia. Jay and Nadine, Whitney's exit. I guess the high spot of the middle of the year is the introduction of Stevie Mitchell and the Jane's return. The new Mitchells. Dean finally getting his comeuppance. Like, I think fundamentally it's a solid year, but it does buckle under the weight that was established last year. I think that's the problem with EastEnders this year. And especially because one thing I was glorifying with Chris Crenshaw is the long-term storytelling and the long-term planning of how they wanted to do these big storylines. But the main problem is, towards the end of the year, it felt like Chris Clenshaw's thread was unraveling. The long-term threading, the long-term plotting, it felt like it was unraveling at the seams. Like, Nish, during 2024, was, oh, Nish is about, and he's back. Oh, he's gone again for about 2 months. Oh, and he's back. Oh, he's back again. Oh, he's gone again. Oh, he's been arrested. Oh, he's broken out. He's going to do anything for this month? No, he's just going to die in a fucking hovel. But suddenly at the end of the year on New Year's Day, he breaks up Suki and Eve's wedding and dies, not killing anyone or doing anything remarkable. Like, still a very good exit, but fundamentally, like, fucking, it just felt very contrived. It felt like it both got too much time and it didn't get enough time. Therefore, it felt awkwardly placed. And instead of bringing Nish back out of jail to be a threat, he just existed, and that's awful. It's terrible. I really didn't like the Nish stuff at the end of the year. Also, how can I be a Coronation Street hater? I have a Coronation Street mug. And also, the 6 aftermath has amounted to very little. Honestly, like, everybody loves the whodunit. Nobody really loves the whodunit I call it post-whodunit clarity, where, and I know I've said this a lot, so bear with me. The problem with whodunits is it's really exciting. Oh, it could be them. And then when you suddenly start theorizing whodunit, that's all fun. But then you have the clarity. Then you have the aftermath. You go, oh, fucking hell, here we go. Oh, oh God, it's still happening. And the six really pitted out because, like, oh, we're in danger. We're not in danger. We're in danger. Linda went from being really, really enjoyable in 2023 to being a fucking alcoholic mess. Which, you know, it's fair enough with the circumstances, but it doesn't mean it's easier to sit to. The untapped potential, the Reese and Sonia storyline with Bianca, but all of the actors are having breaks. So it's like, oh, and it's going, and it's gone. Oh, Sonia's left. Oh, Reese has left. Oh, Bianca's gone. And now Bianca. Like, as much as I joke about people saying, where's Bianca? Bianca has just been in a storage unit for 2 months now. Like, I was mocking people for wondering it, but I do still agree. Where the fuck has she been? Like, where the fuck has she gone? At least give us some occasional scenes showing that Bianca's struggling, not just disappear off screen. It's just, and obviously this year was kind of pretty much Cindy Beale's year. She gradually finds herself cheating on Ian again. Instead of being with the man she wants, George, she's with Junior instead. And in the end, she goes ahead and continues to cheat on Junior despite loving George. And it's revealed at the end, setting up a who attacked Cindy Beale to end the year. I think it was a generally good year of EastEnders. And I think it was genuine quality. But a lot of the shortcomings, a lot of the... When we heard the news that Chris Crenshaw was stepping down as executive producer, I was like, oh, Jesus, I don't know how the show's going to fucking hack it. You know, the show's been great, and it has been great. But as his time on the show has gone on, we are seeing a lot of the signs that a lot of people have been saying for years, saying like, oh, it's not very well done, the block storytelling, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of the criticism is gradually becoming much better lobby towards it than it was before. And now it's time to concede that, yes, admittedly, the Chris Crenshaw era has been good. But has it been the golden era I was touting? No. No, it has not. It's taken EastEnders away from being the third worst soap of the year, for sure, and still, it is close to me between the shows, what I believe is the first. But there are a lot more glaring issues at fault now that I can't really look beyond because the output isn't as great as some of the glaring issues. So, with all that said, let's just leave all that there, and now let's talk about Hollyoaks. I think Hollyoaks has had a really tumultuous year. I love Hollyoaks, I love the characters, I love a lot of the people at the helm, I love what they're trying to do, and I also love it despite Channel 4's, despite it being the red-headed stepchild of the family, where despite it being one of Channel 4's biggest prospects, they still just keep fucking hitting down and be like, yeah, well, you know, fucking, oh, what do you mean people don't want to watch Big Bang Theory anymore? Fucking Hollyoaks. Do you ever know when to fucking hold your tongue? It's like, it's not my fault, man. Fucking hell. And it just feels like each time Hollyoaks is starting to do really good stuff, Channel 4's like, yeah, fucking hell, alright then, sound. Cheers, Channel 4. So, I thought Hollyoaks was off to a really good start of the year. We started the year with a When Worlds Collide storyline, where we shook up the cast. Ella died, John was hit by a bus, and it plunged Warren back into crime and him deciding to try and take revenge, pitting Stee against Warren, the affair of Warren and Mercedes. We were also hot off the presses of the Rafe, Dilly, Sienna, Ethan storyline, which to me was the revelation of the fucking year. At some point, I'm gonna recap. I'm gonna go back and watch that because my reaction was golden, and it fucking, you know, when a plot twist just fully lands. I've never had a plot twist land like that with me before. So it's it's proven to be a genuine. It was proving to have a really good year. Then, slowly, gradually, they announced the Frankie and JJ twincest sexual abuse storyline. Which, for me, even if it may have pitted out in a sense, for me, it's storyline of the year. Without a doubt. The Frankie and JJ incest storyline was truly incredible. Like, if there's soap actress or soap performer of the year, it's Isabel Smith 100% of the way. It's 100%. She has nailed everything this year. She's been tremendous. She's been absolutely phenomenal. And I do think that storyline is, as I made in the video, this will be one of the most groundbreaking stories Hollyoaks has ever done. Now, we're still waiting on a conclusion to the storyline, which will fully decide whether it is an all-timer or it's just an A tier in a realm of S. It's genuinely so good. The delving into Frankie's psyche. She's introduced as this problem child, but the problem is JJ, who can't give up that control of his sister, who he feels he abuses when he's feeling out of control. And this entire time, Frankie is seen as the problem child and the one in the wrong and the one who is just too damaged to be even worth having. And then it slowly unravels that the reason why Frankie is acting the way she is because JJ's been abusing her. And he's been abusing her for years. And he stopped. He did stop, but it started again. And it's about taking JJ off that pedestal and realizing that Frankie has been right all along. And just so much good stuff to work with. All the actors involved are tremendous this year. Ashley Taylor Dawson as well. Tremendous. Fantastic. But the main issue is you have all this momentum and then you start doing some stupid shit as well. Where it's like, well, and then they go, okay, you know how everything's actually going quite well and we're on the up? Well, we're axing 100 members of cast. Well, not cast, but we're maxing 100 members of crew and about 20 members of cast. So all of the status quo they built up was suddenly fucking out the door. You can't fucking have half these characters anymore. So a lot of the foundations of Hollyoaks, a lot of these characters truly were established as, like, but now they're gone. Now they're gone. All these families you made and have crafted over time, gone. You know? There's no point. Ethan, Sienna, gone. Ethan, dead. James Nightingale, one fucking best actor in Hollyoaks. It was being in Hollyoaks. Gone. Dead. Never to return. Cindy, long time, 37 years of her life. I don't know if it's 37 or 27, but you know, like more than 2 decades of her life on the show. Gone. Ellis Hollins, 21 years of his 24-year life. Gone. And it's a factor that Hollyoaks can't control because it's not their fucking fault. But has it derailed the show? Yes. Annoyingly, yes it has. And it's putting the writing team in an awful position where now they need to write out 20 members of cast which, you know, some they did interestingly, like Dave. Others they did pretty strangely, and now they've thrust off and rejuvenated the families by putting them all into more clans and having that be the surface of the story, the foundation of the storylines, rather than it being like a part of it. So anybody who wasn't in a big family, usually gone. But then they start doing some questionable stuff. They don't bring back Patrick Shepherd. They bring back Jeremy Sheffield as Jez. They bring him back as his twin brother, reuniting the Blakes. And, like, you know, you do that, you bring back Jez. Probably would have been cool to see Nico back, in a sense, you know. If we are just bringing back characters from the fucking dead, fuck it, bring them both back. Why not? Didn't happen. I know it just take the piss, but it's still a questionable choice that people aren't really too fond of. I appreciate that he's back, but is the content of his storylines really been worth it? I'm not entirely sure. But with the imminent return of Dodger, yeah. The really interesting, I was gonna say a fucking awful term there. What's the word? The conversion therapy with Lucas Hay recasted into Oscar Curtis or something. He really took it on the chin, really did a lot. The Dylan and Lucas relationship that the stands have latched onto, but they're currently apart. That into Rose trans storyline, where they are, you know, they're undergoing a transition, and it's a long-term story in a long-term show where, you know, it doesn't all happen in a day. They're not just going to fuck off and then suddenly be recast into, like, you know, if they saying they are a boy, they're not going to suddenly be recast into a boy. It's a long-term story for this character. I mean, they might eventually, but, you know, still a groundbreaking storyline to do. But still, the way you angle these characters, you've kind of put them all in the wrong positions. Who is taking the spot of Warren Fox's absence? Robbie Roscoe. What? What? Not Grace Black or anything. Not Rex. Robbie Roscoe. Oh, fucking hell. Alright, sound. Yeah, Misper and Donnie, they're gonna stay as a family. Yeah, alright, sound, I guess. Mercedes dying. Great. Cleo abducted. Abuser still on the show. Still abusing women. Still being a fucking menace. It's gradually looking forward to the end of that storyline. Tony and Diane splitting up. Thank the fucking Lord. But as this has become a general plotting thing, I'll remake the assessment. They were heading into a really good place, and genuinely, had the time jump not happened, it probably would be Soap of the Year for me. It's just the time jump has really stalled the momentum that it had at the first half of the year, and ultimately, we are seeing some of the glaring weaknesses in the current team, is that there's no boundaries with this team. There's no real boundaries. People will do fucked up shit and not even care about it. And it's like, is this really the way you want to go with this, though, is it? Like killing Ethan, a massive black spot on the thing. But all in all, I still think Hollyoaks has had a pretty strong year. And once again, I'll just loop back to Coronation Street to kind of recap what I've enjoyed about Coronation Street this year. I have enjoyed a good deal of Coronation Street. There was a lot of stuff I wasn't a big fan of. I like the idea, but I like the surprise of the Joel storyline, but I didn't really like where it went. I thought the Joel reveal was great, but I wasn't entirely sure that putting Roy in prison and, you know, having Lauren be like, oh, is Lauren dead? Lol, no, she's not. Oh, no, Lauren, my favorite character. What are we gonna do? Oh, she's back. Oh, for fuck's sake. You know, like, I don't think Lauren's any, but like they wanted Lauren to be like Kelly Nealon, but they just got Kelly Nealon from Wish, and she's racist. Well, she was racist. I don't think that was worth it. The slow burn of Carla and Lisa, which I have enjoyed. The inclusion of Damon Kinsella from Hollyoaks as somewhat bent copper Kit Green. It's pretty good, honestly. It's a surprising show of depth. I like the Alia and Adam relationship. I did like the Daisy and Ryan relationship, except we're going in the will they won't they back and forth. Daisy and Daniel and Bethany, which perhaps they think is Deirdre, Ken, and Mike, which just isn't true at all. And the Joel stuff was pretty good to an extent, but like I said, I don't like how it pitted out. The teen bullying of Liam Connor was a really strong storyline, but the making of said bully who maybe not coerced, but they got bullied so much that Liam Connor tried to take his own life, or at least wanted to, is now a fucking good guy and is a main character of the show. It's a confusing one. The news of Debbie Webster being killed off in a long-running dementia storyline is interesting still, but not entirely what you'd want. The exit of Gale, long running, not exactly how it should have been. I know I've hamped on about it a lot. I still think perhaps the circumstances were hard to do, like Martin's exit being scrapped, so you had to do it, but like you're still allowed to change the fucking story, guys. Fundamentally, I probably would have liked a bit of a change to the story, but I recognize that may have been a lot harder to do, so it's not entirely their fault. God, what else even happened? The reintroduction of Nathan Curtis to show off what it is. Just generally, Chesney and Gemma struggling like they always do. The Toya and Nick affair, which I enjoyed, but it was predicated on the retconning of Toya having a baby Rose. That didn't happen at the time, but they wanted to tell the story. Paul's MND. Genuinely fantastic stuff. So I think fundamentally I've been quite harsh on Coronation Street this year. I truly have. But I still think that it ended off better than it started. And I still think there was a lot of good in Coronation Street this year. I may not have been in for the ride for most of it. I didn't really enjoy the Joel stuff that much. Didn't really care that much for Paul, despite it being acted really fantastically. I just don't like a lot of the characters involved in the Paul storyline, you know? If I was the executive producer, I would axe Bernie, Gemma, fucking Billy. Summer can stay, I guess. I'd axe all these characters. I'd axe Paul anyways. I don't like any of those characters at all. Like, at all. And I don't know, like it has been a somewhat decent year for Coronation Street. I think the good does outweigh the bad. It's just I wasn't exactly full in for the ride. So that's partially on me, but I also don't necessarily think it's been good. But I do think that we're heading into an angle where we are going into a much better place in 2025 with Kate Brooks at the helm, putting their own stamp on the show, changing what they want to do, out of this previous writer's era. Now her episodes are going to come in, and now we're going to see what she wants to do with the show. Now, I did harp on a bit about her interview, saying we're going to subvert expectations. Wasn't exactly what I wanted to hear as a fan. I like my soaps simple, if you say that much. I like it straightforward. Do we need it to be shocking and subverting all our expectations? No, because that's how you get Car Crash TV. And sorry, Hollyoaks, sorry, Brookside, it's just not what you want to do. You want it to be straightforward enough that people can get invested in these fairly, like, down-to-earth characters. And then when the time comes, when they're affected by something deeply tragic, you're affected by something deeply tragic because you like the character and you don't want them to have to deal with bad things. So, to finally put a pin on it, as I've been going for half an hour now, how would I rank the top 3 soap of the year? And going through all the options, I genuinely have kind of... It's now going to be more painful. But, Jesus. I might have to think about this a bit more. Because... But the issue is, EastEnders is top 1 for me. It has to be. I've covered it most heavily. I've enjoyed a lot of what it's done this year. I think it's still been very good, but I think the shortcomings of Chris Crenshaw as a boss is starting to show at the end, but that being at the end of a very successful year. So, annoyingly, EastEnders is my soap of the year. But, in reflection... there's not as big of a gap as I'd suggest. Like, I don't know how to separate Hollyoaks and Coronation Street. Because both have had some really good bright spots this year. But it feels like it's been marred by circumstances out of their control. Like, with the Gale Worth exit, with a Helen Worth exit, probably not amounting to what they wanted it to be, but is that their fault? Is it similar to Channel 4 axing half the fucking 20 members of the cast and having them to deal with it? I think they both dealt very well in a lot of strife. So, oh God. But I suppose Frankie and JJ's sibling sexual abuse storyline is my storyline of the year, with the actors involved probably my favourite actors of this soap calendar year. Anyways, so Hollyoaks is number 2, Coronation Street's number 3. But that does hurt. Like, if I was feeling more fair, I would put it as, like, it would be both be number 2, with not much gap in between. And I don't think there's that much of a gap in between, because I don't think, like... I don't know. It does hurt more than I expected it to be. So there we are. EastEnders soap number 1. Hollyoaks soap number 2. Coronation Street soap number 3. All of which have, well, other than EastEnders, which has gotten marginally worse, the other 2 have gotten a decently better given the circumstances that were out of their control. I am still very excited for the next soap year. I look forward to seeing, because, I mean, let's be honest, next year could be entirely different. Like, let's think about the circumstances here. EastEnders, out of the 40th anniversary, which is supposed to be a celebration of 40 years, seeing a bunch of old characters, seeing new characters interact, how is it going to preface with this next generation? Brant Mitchell coming back, Nigel Bates coming back, a lot of these characters returning. Will it live up to expectations? And after the 40th anniversary, so after the, 17th Feb to the 23rd or whatever, after that week, or maybe the 24th to 28th, but regardless, that time period, you know, that's the 3rd or 4th week of February, Ben Wadey is taking over as executive producer, and therefore he has to take control of the storylines, and I'd imagine Chris Crenshaw will be wrapping up a lot of things at the 40th. So it will give Ben Wadey more of a legroom to not have to continue storylines that he didn't plan on doing. So then, EastEnders could radically change. Maybe Ben Wadey likes the more crime-centric EastEnders. Maybe he doesn't like the family kind of direction that it's undergone. There could be a lot of changes. And just like Coronation Street, Kate Brooks, previous Emmerdale producer, has taken the helm. And now we're going to fully see what she has planned for Coronation Street. And Hollyoaks, well, I don't know if Hollyoaks makes it out of 2025. Like, I don't know. I want it to. I desperately want Hollyoaks to make it, but but Channel 4's hell-bent on just saying, oh, you're doing really well, Hollyoaks, are you? Fuck off. Your acts. Like, what? Why? Why? So, fundamentally, 2025 might be a really exciting year for soaps, with EastEnders heading to a 40th anniversary, and then into an executive producer change, with Coronation Street's executive producer just now really taking up the mantle, and Hollyoaks with its imminent disaster. Will it fall? Will it fall to pieces, or will they keep going from strength to strength, still putting out just as good quality storylines as they have been doing this previous year? And will it establish itself as a soap for the future rather than a soap with less years to come? That's my soap of the year, just in case you thought I was a Coronation Street hater or a EastEnders stan. That's my rationale, well thought out, not very planned, but still long-ish video discussing what I think is the soap of the year. And I hope this shows people that I'm not just a one-note EastEnders stan, that I do genuinely love Hollyoaks and Coronation Street, but I don't think it would be good of me as a, well, I say critic, wouldn't be good of me as a pundit, as a talking head, to just glorify it if I don't necessarily believe in what we're being shown. So yeah, what is your soap of the year? Tell me in the comment section down below. I've been Ash from Watching Walford. Thank you for watching. Make sure to join me in the next one. See you then. Bye bye.